Hey guys, Brian with the Seat Shop. Today we're going to be doing an install on bottom covers for a second row on a 2000 through 2002 Tahoe. The same thing with the Yukon, but today we're going to be focused on the two bottom covers on a second row 60/40 seat. So we're going to take these old ones off. We're going to reskin it with the new ones here. I'm going to show you step by step how that works. So the Tahoes and Suburbans are a little bit different from one another. So the short wheelbase seats are the same, and then the long wheelbase Suburban or Yukon XL are the same. So these are going to go over the short wheelbase seats for 60/40. Yeah, we'll grab some tools and get started. All right, this is part one of two, and in part one we're going to show you how to remove the bottom seats and strip the leather seat covers. Okay, so we obviously have the seat out of the truck. The good thing about doing the second row seats is you don't really have to pull the seats out of the vehicle, especially if you're just doing the bottoms. If you're redoing the tops, I pull the seat frame out. But doing the bottoms, there's just a couple 10mm bolts across the front that we'll need to undo, and then the whole bottom cushion frame and everything will come off where the rest of the seat assembly is still bolted into the truck. So there's going to be a couple pieces of plastic that are on the side of the seat that kind of cover up the metal framework that you'll need to take off. Sometimes they'll have one or two Phillips head screws, and the rest of them will have just pop connections that you can just yank up real hard on, or take a pry tool and pop them off. But the part that I'm talking about is this metal frame here. So there's plastic trim pieces that go over this. So when you open the second row door and look into your seat, looking at the seats, you don't see the black metal here. You're going to see a color-coded piece of plastic that trims over that. So pop that off, and then let me show you the bolts that hold the frame on. So there's a 10mm bolt here, and there's one right there as well. So on the other side it's threaded, so there's not a nut on the other side. The actual frame is threaded, so you don't need two 10 mils, just one to be able to pull that out. Sometimes there's some tension on it. You might want a pry tool or a flathead screwdriver to kind of put some tension on the bolt while you're loosening it to get it all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and take my impact, my 10, and back these out. Turn the power up. All right, that one came out good. If it's having trouble getting out, just put some tension with your pry tool on the back side while you're still turning it with your impact to get it out. So let me get the other one over here. There we go. Okay, so you know how the second row folds up. So grab the little pull cord here and go ahead and tilt it forward. It's not going to have those pivot points since we've already removed those 10mm bolts, but there's some cables that hook onto the frame that extend up into the seat top, because to fold the seat top down, you have to fold the bottom up first, and then the top will collapse. Well, when you fold the bottom seat forward, there's a couple different cables that pull to release some latches to let this down. And we need to undo those cables to be able to completely remove this off. So I'm going to show you. This one has one cable on it. So yeah, so it's still intact. Let me show you that one. It's kind of funky to get to because it's on the middle one here. I'm going to take my needle nose. I'm going to work this guy out. Okay, so here's the little cable, like that. Okay, so the stump here on the end feeds through this little hole in the frame, and so when this seat tumbles forward, it pulls this cable, which releases a latch on the seat top, which allows the seat top to fold down. So since we take the tension off that, the top won't fold down anymore. If we pulled hard on that cable, it's kind of hard to pull without hand. Just a hand's got to have some leverage. Then this whole top would fold down. But that's the only thing that's holding this 60 portion on. Now we can wiggle it off. There we go. So now we have this portion. Set this to the side, and we'll do the exact same thing on the 40 portion side over there. Okay, same thing on the 40 portion, 2 bolts, 10 mil. grab our little cord, pull forward. Okay, same little cable, just like the other side. Take our needle nose pliers and feed that back through. There we go. Now this will completely come off. Set that there. Okay, it's nice that the seat frames can actually stay in the truck, and you can unbolt these to bring them out. It makes it a whole lot easier to work on it. Throw this on the workbench, take it inside, whatever you want to do. I'm going to start on the 40 portion first. The process is the same for both of them, but we'll start with this one. It's a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit easier to work with to show this on camera. I'll throw this 60 out of the way, and we'll start with this. So I'm going to start on the underneath side. So there's going to be some clips that run along here, and a clip that runs along here too. So they're kind of hidden. So let me show you how they come off. I'll start in the middle. You can kind of see this seam line where it breaks there. I'm going to try to get in here and roll them back and pop it out of the channel. So what you have is just a plastic clip that's got like an arrow shaped head on it. So you can see the ridges on there, and that catches on a little catch on the inside of this J-clip on the front of it. So this just rolls over and then pushes in is how it clips on. And when they go on, you really hear a distinct clip when they go on. So let's do the rest of them. A little piece of Velcro on the corner. These are a little bit different on the sides, but the same kind of concept. It's going to roll over and click. So whenever it's hooked on, you don't see any of the plastic J-clip once it's hooked on correctly. Velcro and another clip. I'm just literally rolling these backwards. Sometimes it can be a real pain. If they are, take a flathead screwdriver when you're kind of getting some tension pulled back on it, and see if you can get a flathead in and kind of separate the two clips that are clasping onto one another. But yeah, flathead's good to have around if it's giving you some trouble to get in there and try to get it undone. Next thing we'll need a little Phillips head screw on the back to get this plastic assembly deal off the back. There's 3 screws to hold this on. One of them you can see is this one, and there's 2 other ones on the back side to go here and here, kind of hidden, tucked behind the carpet. So let's pull this off, and then let's tuck this back around, see if I can, yeah. Then we'll see our other 2 screws here at the very back. We'll undo those. Well, let me pull the cover off, and it'll be a little easier to get to it. So let's go with the cover. So this front J-clip it's a double clip, so the clip's got hooks on both sides of it. So this will pry off. There's just it's like a 1/4-inch steel bar that goes across the front that this clips to. So this hooks on, and then it has another channel on top for the carpet to roll around and clip onto. So we'll undo that. Okay, that's all unclipped. So now we'll just start rolling our cover off. We'll start on one corner. You want to get it off all on the edges all the way around first, because the top surface area is Velcroed on. We don't want to just yank it off, because we don't want to make sure we don't pull the Velcro that's mounted onto the foam off. So that way we don't have to mess with gluing it back on. If it does come off, not the end of the world. Get some spray adhesive, re-glue that back on there, let it set up real good before you put the new cover on. But just going to be cognizant of it when we're taking it off, so we try not to rip the Velcro off and don't have to spend the time to do it. Okay. Alright, so now the cover's inverted on here. We're going to go through and start undoing the Velcro. So I like to keep a finger on the actual hook, which is the prickly part of the Velcro, on the hook, push down on it, and then pull up on it and kind of work your way across. That way, just a lot less risk of ripping the Velcro out of the channels. Okay. go. We'll set our cover to the side. Now I'm going to come back to this guy and go ahead and pull the screws. And now, whenever I install these, I've always pulled these screws off the back first, you know, done where I take this whole plastic piece off. But you might be able to put it on with that on, leaving this plastic piece on and be able to pull the cover around it. But I'm going to go ahead and take it off on this one. The next one, on the 60 portion, we'll try to leave them on and see what happens. But I've always taken them off. But, you know, sometimes you figure out better ways. So, now we're down to just the foam, down to the frame. Double check your springs and make sure everything looks good. Make sure these cables aren't busted. Make sure the springs are good. Make sure the springs haven't pulled through the frame. We've seen that before. A lot in the front rows, we'll see where the springs actually start to kind of tear the metal, and these holes are now like long, elongated teardrop holes. They don't have much tension, but it's the second row. It doesn't get nearly the wear and tear of the front row seat. But while you have it apart, just do once over your frame. Make sure everything's in good shape. Nothing's cracked. Doesn't need to be welded together or anything like that. So this one looks pretty good. We'll set it aside. We're going to get the steamer out. We need to steam this foam before we put that new cover on. All right, so there's a couple options on steamers. We've got a big commercial steamer, but this is my handy dandy backup. This is a very, very high-end $20 Amazon item. But this is a great thing to have around. If you don't have a garment steamer, this is a great thing to have for your install to help steam the foam out, as well as steaming the seat covers once you get them on, to help them kind of get relaxed and mold onto the seat and everything like that. We use steam a lot on installs, but first is going to be steaming the foam. Pick you up one of these. They're 20 bucks on Amazon. Just a little pressure steamer. They work really good. I'm going to bring our regular one over and go and start steaming this out. Also, I was talking about earlier when I was pulling the cover off. If you do happen to pull the Velcro off of the foam, just a can of spray adhesive. This is another Amazon item that I use just to keep around. We also have some different glue that we use that goes in a regular pneumatic spray gun, which is some really good stuff. But this is a good can of stuff to have around when you're doing the install. You can get stuff at Lowe's and Home Depot. I know 3M makes some for foam and rubber, stuff like that. But this is a good can to have around during the install. If you do happen to pull some off, make sure that it's set real well. Glue it, let it set real well. So, because when you put the new cover on, it's going to have some upward tension pulling on it. And if it's not set real well, it'll just pull right off. So give it a good amount of time to go ahead and set up. Okay, steaming. Bring Stanley on over. Here we go. So steam is going to help open the foam back up and let it swell back up closer to its original size and shape before it had covers installed on it and people sat on it for 10 years. You'll be able to see the foam start to swell up. Then I just move real slow on it, let that foam really take some time to inject into the steam, have some good time to inject into the foam. And you'll see it start to swell back up. But you know, some foam reacts better than others. You know, some foam will swell real well, some of it just doesn't move at all. But you definitely want to steam it out. You see, some of this we're getting 1/8 or 1/4 inch rise out of it. You think how much surface area that is. If you got that much rise out of the whole entire cushion, when you put the new cover on, that can make a real big difference on if it's going to look, you know, loose and baggy like some kind of crap Walmart cover you just bought, you know, versus something that fits on there correctly and nice and tight and smooth. So steaming it out makes a big difference. We steam everything out. So it's going to take a little time to go over this. I'm going to steam the whole thing. Get as much swell out of it as I can. And the little steamer, backup steamer I got, the Amazon rig, it didn't hold much water, but it'll do it. It'll hold enough to be able to steam, you know, like one seat out. If you're doing the 60 portion, you may have to add some more water to it. But good thing about that one is the recovery time is real quick on it. It doesn't hold much water, but once you fill it up with water, it doesn't take but 2 or 3 minutes, and it's back up steaming again. Okay, started with the edges. Now I'm going to do the whole front face of it. We get a lot of questions from people asking how, when they steam the foam, how long does that last with it, puffed up like that? And the answer is I really don't really how long it, it keeps the shape. The biggest thing is you want the foam to be as close to the original size and shape as it was when it was brand new, when you're putting the new cover, when the original cover was installed on it. That way the cover is sitting correctly on the foam, and like the seam lines around the edges are lining up where they're supposed to lay and all that kind of stuff. So even if over time it's was sitting on it and compressions and getting in and out, it's going to smash back down. But the cover is also going to change and mold and shape onto the foam as well. So the most important thing is having when you put the new cover on, that it's lined up correctly everywhere it needed to be on the foam, and the foam was in the correct size and shape that it was. It's not bashed down and deteriorated and all that kind of stuff. Usually on the second rows you don't have to do a lot of foam work in terms of actually gluing and adding on additional foam to rebuild it to get it back to that shape. Typically steam will get you where you need to go, but it's real important to steam it so that the shape and size is as close as it was to original before that new cover goes on. And it doesn't take that long. It's not that big of a deal. Just spend an extra 15 minutes steaming out, and your end result's going to be a whole lot better. Alright, it's looking pretty good. Turn our steamer back to warm and set it aside. Now you want to let your cover, your foam cool down, so it's not hot anymore. You really want to get it dry. Make sure you get all that moisture from the steam out of there. When the foam's hot, it's really soft and pliable. You want to let it get cold and dried out so it firms back up. We'll kind of just fast forward through that and go ahead and grab the cover and start showing how to anchor everything on. So this hooks on with Velcro. So all, just like when we're pulling it off, we pull the Velcro on. That's the only thing that holds it on is this Velcro. So we're going to flip this cover inside out and go ahead and set our Velcro first, then wrap the cover around the edges of the foam. Okay. Now, I'm going to start by anchoring this one first. You can line up, because you'll be able to see the Velcro lines that are going here. Line those up, and you'll also be able to see the double stitch down this. You'll see the underneath side of the cover. You can see the seam on that. So just line those up to make sure it's not turned either way, and the seams going back and forth here are lining up. And then you can go ahead and push down across that very front Velcro and get it set first. Okay. So I set the very center. I'm going to pull this back up. I'm going to start right in the very center. I'm going to try to attach that point first right there, because I want to, as I'm attaching the rest of that Velcro, I'm going to pull and stretch the cover out that way when I'm attaching this section, and from this section over I'm going to grab and pull out to get some, just to stretch it and hook it on. So I'm going to get right at the middle point and set right in the center, then keep kind of holding my thumb where I set it and grab here and start and kind of pull out, keep some tension on it, and then with your other hand follow along that Velcro and attach it. Do the same thing left side. Hold tension on that middle point, pull out on the cover here, stretching it, and kind of follow along with your other thumb and push it, set it. Okay, now we'll flip around here. I'll be able to look and see if it's sitting straight. So I'm looking at that seam line that I just anchored, making sure it's not sitting, really cockeyed or anything. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty straight. So now we're going to set these Velcro lines, and I'm going to, kind of like I did before, I'm going to start at the top with one hand on the cover, pushing down to the Velcro, my other hand pulling back so you get some, kind of stretch the cover back a little bit. we go. If you see line, once you get it all put on, if we start to see lines that are put in, let me show you, like if you get lines like this that are coming across like that, that means that one side of the Velcro may be higher than the other side. So if they're shifted some, you're going to get lines that will pull either this way or that way, depending on it. So that's why getting a nice pull stretch and getting all the way down, then once it's on, looking to see if the lines are pulling, you see any lines going across it. If it does, then that may mean that you need to undo one of these Velcro seams and shift it, forward or back, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, something like that, to keep those lines out of it. So let's do here now. We won't really know if there's going to be complete lines in it until we get it wrapped around and all clipped on, and you really get some tension around it. So, but so far that's looking pretty good. Okay. Now I'll start on the corner. Now when I'm wrapping the corner, I'll take my right hand, I'm going to grab the foam, I'm going to push in and compress the foam, and my other hand my fingers are on the seam line around here. So I'm going to put my fingers on that seam line, keep constant contact, my hands on the cover the entire time, and push in here, and I'm going to be rolling over with this. My left hand is feeding it around, but you want to keep your hand completely on the cover the whole time. There we go. It gives you a nice smooth transition. If you try to just pull the cover over and grab it and yank it down, you're going to get a lot of ripples and stuff in there. So let's do the other side. Fingers in here, push in on the foam, down and roll on the cover all the way down the side. And then we'll work our way back. Okay. Now, back side. So these can get a lot of tension on it when you're getting especially the final corner, the fourth corner. So if you start to see a lot of tension on this thread, where the carpet comes together there, a lot of times I'll try to hold that when I'm rolling it over, just to try to keep the tension from splitting it. There we go. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now let's flip over, and we've got all these clips. There. Okay. Now we need to put our plastic piece on first before we get all this stuff set. So I'm going to go and feed the plastic piece on. They also have the little ripcord to deal with. So let's do with the ripcord first. So there's a little loop on the back here. So this little piece of fabric sewn on, a little loop that this is going to go up through. Now you don't want the ripcord on the outside of the cover where you see it across the back. So it's going to go on the inside, and on this piece of carpet there's a little slit that's behind this piece of carpet. So this is going to feed through the cover, come through the little slit and come up. There we go. Okay. So there's that. But it actually needs to feed this plastic thing first, which I forgot. Okay. So the plastic piece is going to sit on like this. So we'll feed that through there first. Then we'll go down through the carpet. There we go. Pull that through. There we go. Now we got it. Okay. So I'll start with the front one. We're gonna get, this was the front clip here. This is the one that it's double-sided. So you got one bar here that hooks onto this metal bar and another hook on this other side. So pull this around and just get it to clip on. we're all on there. Okay, so now I'm going to start with this center one. This is the one that's going to have some tension on it. So we're going to pull, I'm going to kind of roll this in my hands a little bit so I get a little slack so I can tug, I can pull on it forward like that. Because you need to kind of come past the clip, because this clip's going to roll back and then push backwards into that channel. So I need to get some good slack past it, get this thing to roll over now, get it in that channel and push. You'll hear it snap. There's a snap. Snap all the way down. There we go. Okay, so that's on. We'll do our sides now. So this clip rolls in. So here's our catch on this clip. And this other clip is kind of a funky shape here, but that edge is going to wrap around and go underneath that edge. So this clip is going to go over the top. Yep, that's clipped. Okay, same thing on this side. What makes it so tricky is this clip doesn't have anything to sit on, any structure to sit on, so it folds down into the frame, and that's what makes it tricky for this thing to roll and that to clip into it. But it does work. It's just kind of a pain. Let's see if I can pull. There we go. Oh, I spoke too soon. There we go. Snap. There we go. Okay. That's on. Two little pieces of Velcro here. So this little carpet flap here, this will tuck down in between this metal frame and that clip, just to cover that stuff up. And then this little piece of Velcro comes around the wing there and completely encases that piece there. So next, screws for the black little back plastic piece here. Okay. I'm going to get a little pry tool to get to these. So there's two screws that are down in here, kind of behind the carpet. So we're going to pull that away a little bit. This little edge of the carpet, this little flap here, I'm going to tuck it in between the foam and the frame there. Actually, I'm going to pull it out of the way, get my screw on, and then I'm going to fold it up underneath. sure that my carpet doesn't get pinched in there. Okay, one down. Get to the other one here. Take the old carpet, kind of stick it back behind here. There we go. I'm going to grab my last screw that's on top. Alright, so there's that. Always double check when you pull, go ahead and pull on the little ripcord. Make sure that your latch opens and closes, nothing's binding it up. Because just always good to check before you get it all back in the seat and bolted in and you go to latch it, and just make sure that that's free and nothing's bound up in there. So it's moving just fine, so we're good to go on that. We'll set it to the side. Now, once we get the covers on like this, I'll take the steamer and I'll take the heat gun and do kind of some final finishes onto it. This one's looking pretty good, but I'd probably still go ahead and steam it anyway. And then we can start on the 60 portion. Alright, when I'm steaming the cover, I'm going to change my steamer from this wand over to a flat head. This is like what you would steam a shirt or something with. It's just got a little wider, more holes in it. The straight one's a lot easier for doing foam, because you really can get the steam to penetrate into the deeper into the foam. Whereas this is just going to be a lot more surface area to heat up the leather and vinyl and everything like that, and get it smoothed on there just to get it going. Once I get it hot and steamed with this, I'm going to come back over with my heat gun and just get everything else tightened up as best we can. Now with the heat gun on the carpet, on the sides and back, underneath and like that, don't get anywhere close to it with the heat gun. It'll instantly just singe up, and it's not good. So I always kind of held my hand or arm to separate the cloth, the carpet part, when I have the heat gun out, because it'll singe it in 2 seconds. But we'll start with the steam won't bother it, but once this gets rocking, we'll start steaming this out. This looks pretty good. Steam will help get a lot of little ripples and things like out in the seat cover. It might help get some of these pieces out. That'll come out from time, just from sitting in it in the hot sun and all that kind of stuff. That's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty dang good. But if you got some ripples and things like that, and the steam will really help get that out. Now, if we did have a problem area where we had some heavy wrinkling and stuff like that, we'd heat it with the steam and everything, and then I'd really be manipulating the cover on the foam, massaging it out, pulling it, tugging it, figuring out which way it needs to pull, and while it's hot, stretching it out, and then cooling it out with it stretched. It's going to firm up and it's going to help get rid of those ripples. We don't have any areas like that to work on. We might on the 60 portion. We can get a little deeper into it on trying to, use the steam and heat to get rid of some ripples, but this is looking pretty good. We're going to move on to the next one here and set this down. All right. 60 portions. Exact same thing as the other side, just bigger. Pull the screws out. Same clips as the other one. You just roll backwards. These are the arrow clip on the front that hooks in. These I'm literally just rolling backwards, like that, just peeling it backwards. Okay. So pull the carpet back from the plastic. front clips are the double clips, so this is hooked on that bar. So I'm just pushing down in towards the frame and peeling it back. You can take a a flathead or a pry tool or whatever and push down and bring it back. Start at our corners, peel it back. Okay. Now pull our Velcro. You need to push down on the Velcro that's on the foam. Try to keep it from ripping up. Okay, there goes that cover. I may try to leave those plastics on. See how that works. We'll kick our steamer back on, steam some foam. Ooh, it's hot. It's still hot. All right. Steam, more steam. Just to heat up, take about a minute. Okay. All right. Steaming takes a while, but man, it is important to do. It makes a big difference, And like I said on the first one, on the 40 portion, I would let this dry out, take my air compressor and blow it out, get all the moisture out of it, and let it cool down, because the foam still retains quite a bit of the heat from the steam. But I'm just pressed for time. I'm going to go ahead and throw the cover on. But after you steam it, definitely make sure it's dry and the foam is cooled back down. We'll grab the cover. We'll start putting that on. So here's our new 60 portion cover. We'll turn it inside out so the Velcro is facing out. Okay, now I'm going to start on the cushion side, that side, the actual main seat. Okay, you can line up the Velcro strips, with all these here with underneath side of the cover. So it's pretty easy to see, if you've got it too far left or right. So line those up. That looks pretty good. You also have this double stitch here that's going down the center of the seat. You can line it up with this this indentation on the seat foam here. So that can line up your center point on that as well. Okay. Alright. So I'm going to push the very center, get that to attach, and then I'm going to grab the end of the cover here and pull out, and then with my other thumb I'm going to follow along the seam line and push the Velcro down into attach. There we go. Insert the center pulling out with this hand, following along, pushing down to attach. Okay. That's there. I'm gonna keep on following it around all the way down the side. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it. I want to make sure that everything looks straight across. Kind of turn it towards me. Okay, everything looks pretty good there. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to set my vertical seams that run from front to back. So I'm going to anchor my finger here. This whole seam isn't Velcroed yet, so I'm going to anchor there. I'm pinching the Velcro underneath like this. I'm going to pinch there. So I'm going to pinch the Velcro here, and I'm going to hold my other hand at the very top right here where it's already anchored, because this horizontal seam is anchored. I'm going to hold there, and I'm going to pull down meaning towards the rear of the seat, pull some tension, and while I got tension pulled, I'm going to take my left hand, I'm going to follow along that seam to set it on the Velcro in there, and then push in there, make sure it's really set. Okay, I'll do the same thing over here. Pretty good. Do this one now. You really want to push in there and make sure that Velcroed here is just take your knuckles and kind of roll them in that seam, push down real hard, make sure they're set. Now, we'll go ahead and roll the cover over. Start in this front corner. I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to push in on the foam to collapse it in. I'm going to push with my fingers on the seam line. On the inside, I'm going to be pushing out. I'm going to roll down. There we go. Over here, same thing. Now it puts quite a bit of pressure on these back corners, like right here where the vinyl side is sewn onto the carpet. You can try to grab that joint, kind of hold it together to keep some of the stress off of it while you're rolling this back corner, just so it can't tear it. There we go. Same thing over here. I'm going to grab that seam. Okay. Everything's looking pretty good as of right now. We'll start wrapping around and getting our clips set, and then we'll see how we need to kind of massage and adjust out the cover. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over now. I'm going to make sure I don't have anything on my countertop, scratch it or cut it. There we go. So my front two clips have the double clips. It's got one catch that hooks onto this metal bar on the underneath side, and then there's another catch on once it's attached that's facing up, and the little arrow clip of that hooks on, just like the 40 portion did. So we'll pull this, stretch it down, get it to hook on to the bar, all the way down. There we go. Okay, there's that one, and this one. we go. Do our sides. This will pull up, and then this clip hooks onto that. Let's do our front two first, so I'll get a lot of the tension pulled forward, and then we'll do our two sides. Now this one, I just tried to leave the plastic retainers on here. They go around for the latch, so I think I should be able to pull that around. Let's just give it a whirl. Let's see which one's got the pull cord. Should be this one. That one's got the pull cord. So I'm going to feed the pull cord through. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty tricky. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we're going to pull real tight on this. This clip's going to do a complete rollover, push back in. You'll hear a click. There it is. Okay. All right, those are in. This one here. This little carpet flap will come over the inside. All right, there's that. Now we'll do the two sides. This one's gonna be tricky. My hand's going. More slack. This looks good. Alright, just got to pull on this a little harder. Get this to stretch up over. Give me some more room. As y'all can see, that clip is a little tricky, but it will work. Same thing on the other side. Get in there, come on. I'm trying to start the front, see if that'll work. goodness. Okay. Now you got there's a little Velcro tab here. So there's this little flap of carpet will kind of fill in these holes, so that'll tuck in there. This will tuck down there, and then this piece of Velcro comes forward. Close that in. There we go. Now let's look at our pieces here. So this will tuck underneath. There we go. So then we'll run our screw through there. And this little carpet flap will tuck under too. Let's get this tucked under. Okay. That's tucked. Okay. Now we'll get our screws. Flip this over. So you can take a little, just a little pick, then find the hole. That's usually the easiest. You know, it'll go right through the carpet. So there we are there. I'll grab my screw. Just go ahead and put it on here. And then I can hold the plastic in place, pull that straight out. Then I know I'm lined up in that hole. Yeah. Next one. There we go. Okay, that's on. Now I did feed the little pull strap through backwards, but it's through correctly. I just need to, it needs to come out the top. So let me see if I can feed this sucker back up. There we go. Now it pulls on at the top, so it'll hopefully latch. All right, this is looking pretty good. Nice and tight, not wrinkled up. We'll hit it with the steam. It'll help kind of get some of these ripple out right there. But that's looking pretty dang good right there. As you can see, the underneath side, those clips, man, they're a bear sometimes to get the clip, to get them to lock. But the good thing about these is you can really hear them snap and pop into place when you get it to attach right. So just keep fussing with it, wrestling with it, and you'll eventually get them to hook on there, and you'll get the satisfaction to hear it snap on into place, so you know you've got it locked in and you're good to go. I'll change my head on the steamer here to the flathead, steam this out, and get it all dried up, and then we'll get it mounted back on the frame. Now I'll take my heat gun. Remember to make sure not to get the heat gun on the carpet back there, because it'll singe it real quick. That's looking good. That's looking good. Okay. There's two little flaps on the back. These little pieces of carpet. I'm going to tuck these back up behind it. Let's flip it this way. Here we go. See if I can do it this way. Okay. And this piece, roll it behind there. It's looking good. Okay. 60 portions done. Now, grab the frame. I'll grab the frame, throw it back up here. We'll go ahead and bolt the 60 to 40 portion back onto the frame. Really simple. 4 bolts. We'll be good to go. Okay, bolting the 60 portion back on. I need the 2 bolts. Well, I'll grab all 4 of them while I'm here. These are going to be those long 10 millimeter bolts. So I'm going to grab seat. So now remember there's that cable that pulled. I'll come around and show you that cable. It'll be easier to hook up first, probably. So here's this cable right here. So when the seat's all back together and you flip the seat back up, you pull the little rip cord and you tumble the seat forward, it pulls this cable, which undoes a lever in the seat here. Once that lever's pulled, it allows the seat back to fold down flat to the floor. So that's what this cable is. This cable's going to go into this little hole. So I'm going to go and line that up. And when I don't have it bolted, I got some extra slack where I can try to feed it on without having to use needle nose. Okay, now I'm there. And then we'll go back to this side and I'll get the bolt on the far side first. Okay, so now too far. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now let's go back over and get our second bolt. Okay. You can tell which way it goes through because there's only one side that's threaded. So this side here has the threads cut, so the bolt obviously can't feed that way. It's got to feed this way. Okay. Nice and tight. We'll grab the 40 portion. Here we go. So there's these little rubber boots that hook on, or plastic boots that go on the sides of these. Here's what that looks like right here. So it just gives a little buffer in between here so you don't get a rattle, because this whole assembly sits on the inside of what's on the seat. So these are going to kind of give you a, when you flip them up and down, you don't hear metal on metal. Plus when you're driving on the road, you won't hear a metal on metal rattle. So if you see one of these pop off and it's rolling around in the shop where you're doing the install, that's what these are for. They pop on they go from the outside in and stick, and so they're on two on each side. So, there's that one. Okay, same thing. We'll get this hooked up here and get the cable on. It's got the exact same cable just like the 60 portion did. Feed that through. Let me get my bolts. This one feeds from the outside. here. There we go. All right, now. Okay, luckily when you're doing just the bottoms, you don't have to mess with this whole frame because you're just doing these bolts and the frame's already bolted into the truck, so you don't have to mess with that moving around and flopping around on you. Just undo these two bolts, the one cable on each seat, and boom, the whole bottom comes off where you take in your garage or shop to be able to do the install. It makes it really, really easy. The top's a little bit different story. We'll have to pull the whole seats out of the truck. We're gonna have another video coming out for you guys to show you how to do the seat tops as well. And if you got any other questions on doing leather seat installs for your truck or SUV, need some new driver bottom seats for your truck, driver's left-hand side of the cover beat up from getting in and out of the truck all the time, we can get you fixed up with a new foam, new cover, have step-by-step install videos to show you how to tackle the install for that as well. If you got any questions, give us a call, 214-710-2565. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter. Check out all of our YouTube videos, man. We'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.